Has someone close to you been showing subtle but concerning changes over the past months, yet no one seems to notice how serious these signs might be? You're not alone. Many people assume that when an elderly person nears the end of life, it will be obvious or dramatic, but the truth is, the body often gives gentle warnings long before any major crisis. The challenge is these warnings can be so quiet that we brush them aside as ordinary aging. Then, when a sudden turn comes, families look back and wish they'd paid closer attention. In this video, we're going to talk about 5 silent signs that an elderly person may be in their final year. Some of these may sound familiar, but you might not realize just how closely they're tied to a deeper decline. Others may surprise you because they're so easy to write off as normal old age issues. By recognizing them early, you can prepare for what's ahead, provide better care, and most importantly, make the most of the time left with your loved one. Picture this. You're visiting your older relative, maybe a grandparent, maybe a parent, and something feels different, though you can't quite put your finger on it. Perhaps they're moving a bit slower, speaking less, or their face just looks more drawn. You chalk it up to the fact that, well, they're over 80. Isn't that just normal? But in reality, their body could be quietly alerting you that things are changing more quickly than you realize. Before we begin, remember this. Seeing one or even a few of these signs doesn't guarantee that someone is in their final year. Each person's journey is unique, but the more signs that appear and the more persistent they become, the more important it is to pay close attention. If your loved one shows these patterns, don't simply ignore them or push them off as nothing. Having awareness now could make a tremendous difference in the type of support, love, and comfort you offer in their final stretch of life. One subtle but powerful warning is a noticeable drop in appetite or an unexplained change in weight. You might have seen your loved one's favorite dishes sit untouched, or maybe they're insisting they're full after just a few bites. In the past, they could polish off a plate of home cooking, but now even half seems too much. This isn't the same as simply being a picky eater. It's often tied to deeper issues. The body, sensing its gradual slowdown, stops asking for food the way it used to. Digestion may be harder, and certain tastes or smells can even become overwhelming. Sometimes the person doesn't feel hungry. Other times it's a discomfort they can't describe. What many don't realize is that weight loss in an older adult can be a sign of more than just a bad day. It can hint that the body isn't absorbing nutrients effectively, or it's beginning to shift its focus away from growth and repair. That loss of nourishment can weaken the immune system, reduce muscle mass, and lead to a cycle where less energy leads to less movement, which leads to even greater decline. This isn't about forcing them to eat huge meals. Sometimes that just creates more discomfort. The real key is noticing the shift in appetite and understanding that it might reflect a deeper transition rather than a simple preference. When you see your loved one's appetite fade, don't panic, but do pay attention. Simple steps can help, like offering nutrient-dense snacks or small portions they find comforting. Sometimes softer foods or liquids are easier to manage. But if you're noticing a rapid drop in weight or ongoing disinterest in food, it's wise to look deeper. Is there an undiagnosed condition at play? Are they feeling depressed? Is chewing painful due to dental issues? These questions matter because ignoring them can mean missing a signal that time is more limited than you think. Now let's continue. There's another sign that many people don't realize ties so closely to a final year decline, and that is a sudden or progressive change in cognitive clarity. This isn't just the classic senior moment where you forget where you put your keys. We're talking about more frequent memory lapses, confusion about day-to-day things, or even sudden disorientation in a place they've lived for years. One day they forget a grandchild's name, the next they're mixing up medications despite having taken them routinely for ages. As the body gears down, it can affect circulation to the brain, making it harder for neurons to stay as active and precise as before. Even subtle changes in blood flow or oxygen levels can result in an elderly person seeming more confused than normal. They might ask the same question every 5 minutes or wake up in the middle of the night unsure of where they are. It's easy to dismiss these changes as, "Oh, grandma's just getting older." But cognitive shifts can be one of the clearest windows into a person's overall health. Think of it this way. The brain requires continuous, reliable blood flow and oxygen. When the body is preparing for that final stage, it isn't always able to supply the brain as effectively, leading to these periods of confusion or memory loss. Sometimes these changes come in waves. You might see your loved one have a perfectly lucid morning, then become foggy and disoriented by afternoon. Other times, the decline is gradual but steady. They may lose interest in hobbies that require concentration, or they withdraw from conversations because keeping up becomes too draining. If you're still watching this video, please comment the number 2 below, so I know you're here with me. This interactive moment helps us see who's truly engaged, and it reminds you that you're part of a community wanting to offer the best care possible. Now let's move forward. Cognitive changes also correlate with other health complications. For instance, if an elderly person is prone to infections or has difficulty recovering from illnesses, that can affect mental sharpness. So you start seeing a pattern. As the body weakens, the mind often shows signs of strain as well. It's not purely a psychological issue. The key is to recognize that this confusion or memory trouble isn't always just dementia or just normal. It could be part of a bigger picture, telling you that your loved one is nearing the end. By catching it early, you can put measures in place, like easier medication routines, safer living environments, or even simply more patient, gentle communication. That might reduce distress and create a more comfortable space for them. Let's talk about another silent alarm: frequent or persistent infections and the body's struggle to heal. Have you noticed they seem to catch every little cold that goes around? Or maybe a small wound on their arm just won't close up, even weeks later. These might look like random occurrences, but often they're anything but random. Our immune system is a finely tuned defense mechanism, and as a person transitions toward that last stage, immunity weakens significantly. Pneumonia becomes more common, urinary tract infections pop up more often, and even gum or oral infections can appear out of nowhere. What's particularly tricky is that an elderly person may not always show typical symptoms like a high fever. Instead, confusion might spike or appetite might vanish. These subtle cues are a big red flag that the immune system is no longer on full alert. Another complexity is that treatments that once worked quickly can become far less effective. Where a round of antibiotics used to clear a UTI in a matter of days, now it might linger or return. Meanwhile, side effects from these medications can pile on to the strain the body's already under. It can feel like a losing battle, one infection after another, each one chipping away at their strength. Families sometimes think, "We'll just try a stronger med," or "We'll bring them to the hospital and that will solve it." But if someone truly is in their final year, the body may not respond the same way anymore. Over time, repeated infections can lead to severe fatigue, organ stress, and sadly push someone further toward the end. Now, this doesn't mean you should give up. It simply means that once you realize your loved one is getting infections more frequently or takes far longer to heal, you might consider shifting your approach. Perhaps focus less on aggressively curing every issue and more on making them comfortable, monitoring symptoms carefully, and ensuring they remain hydrated and well-nourished. Consult a medical professional about whether more invasive treatments will genuinely improve their quality of life or whether they'll lead to more discomfort. Recognizing this might be part of a final year decline can help you make decisions that honor both their dignity and comfort. Moving on, there's another sign that many people mistake for everyday aches and pains. It's that moment when your loved one, who used to walk around the house with little problem, now struggles to get out of a chair or climb a single step. You see them lose their balance more often. Maybe they lean on furniture for support, or complain about their knees and hips in a way that seems beyond just arthritis. They appear slower, less steady, and even small physical tasks drain them. Sometimes their posture changes, or they begin shuffling instead of lifting their feet. At a glance, yes, it looks like normal aging, but be cautious. A decline in mobility and coordination, especially one that progresses over a few months, can be a silent indicator that the body's resilience is fading. When muscles weaken and joints become less stable, it isn't just about comfort. The risk of falls skyrockets, and a bad fall in an older adult can trigger a rapid health decline that they never truly recover from. Fractures can lead to lengthy bed rest, which then leads to even more muscle wasting, blood clots, pneumonia, and so on. If your loved one is near the end, their body might be too fragile to handle the stress of surgery or intense physical therapy. That's why noticing these small changes in how they move, rising from a chair, walking to the bathroom, or even carrying a light object, can reveal whether their overall health is slipping more rapidly. It's also crucial to watch for sudden changes in balance or coordination. If someone who normally moves steadily starts taking hesitant steps, veers to one side, or needs constant support to remain upright, it could be tied to the brain's diminishing ability to coordinate signals. Circulation issues, minor strokes, or progressive neurological conditions often amplify these problems in the final year. Be patient and supportive. Offer them a sturdy arm when they walk, rearrange furniture to clear a safer path, and consider whether a walker or wheelchair might offer stability and reduce the risk of a life-altering fall. If you're still here and want to let me know you're following along, please comment the number 4 below. That shows you're absorbing these insights and are committed to getting your loved ones the care they deserve. Now let's continue. The final silent sign many overlook is a shift in emotional engagement and social connection. It's easy to think that an older person is just tired or getting quiet with age, but often there's more happening. Maybe they've stopped calling friends, or they seem disinterested in watching their usual TV programs or reading the newspaper. Conversations become shorter, and they rarely initiate them. They might even appear withdrawn or apathetic about birthdays, holidays, or visits from grandkids. Sometimes loved ones interpret this as mild depression or assume the person is just ready to rest, but it could actually be a deeper sign that the individual is turning inward, preparing themselves, whether consciously or subconsciously, for what lies ahead. When a person starts pulling back from life's daily interactions, it can indicate their energy is waning, and the desire for external stimulation is diminishing. Even physically, they may lack the strength to engage in long visits or spirited conversation. In the final year, many elderly individuals become introspective, focusing on memories, regrets, or trying to find peace with their life's journey. That doesn't mean they've stopped caring for their loved ones, but the way they express that care often changes. You might notice them drifting off in the middle of a family gathering, or quietly listening without offering their usual witty remarks. They might even forget important details about your life. It can be hurtful if you don't realize what's happening, but it's rarely intentional. For you, as a family member or friend, these emotional and social changes might be the hardest to face. After all, you want them to be present and enjoy every precious moment. But if someone is indeed nearing the final stage, this withdrawal could be part of the natural process. They might crave more rest, more calm, less stress. When you see this happening, it's often best to meet them where they are. Speak softly, ask gentle questions, offer companionship without forcing them into long discussions or activities that feel too burdensome. Small acts of closeness, like holding their hand or quietly reading a book in the same room, can be more soothing than big social events. You've now heard about 5 silent signs that an elderly person may be in their final year. A drop in appetite leading to unexplained weight loss, a growing pattern of confusion or cognitive decline, frequent infections and slow healing, increased difficulty with mobility and balance, and a marked withdrawal from social or emotional engagement. If multiple signs line up in someone you love, pay attention. Rather than assuming it's just old age, see it as an opportunity to give them extra care, ask important questions of their doctor, and focus on meaningful interactions now, while time allows. Sometimes people ask, isn't this a bit too grim? Shouldn't we keep a positive outlook? Yes, positivity matters, but awareness doesn't negate hope or love. In fact, it can enhance it. By recognizing that these quiet changes might signal a final transition, you can step in with the right kind of support, reduce unnecessary hospital visits or overly aggressive treatments, and spend more moments in genuine connection. Whether it's sharing a cup of tea, reminiscing about family history, or simply sitting in comfortable silence, these choices become precious. Remember, every situation is unique. Someone might show these signs yet live beyond a year, while someone else might only show a few and still be closer to the end than you think. The goal here isn't to predict an exact timeline, but to equip you with the awareness to avoid ignoring or dismissing these often overlooked cues. If you notice them, consider talking to medical professionals or a hospice care team, and open up honest conversations within your family. Plan ahead in terms of care preferences and emotional closure. That way, your loved one's final journey can be navigated with greater peace and comfort for everyone involved. Thank you for taking the time to watch and listen today. If you found these insights helpful, please share your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on the bell if you haven't yet. That way, you won't miss any future videos that might guide you or someone else going through a similar situation. Let us know one lesson you learned today and how you might apply it. Your comments keep this community strong and remind all of us that we're not alone in caring for those we love. Above all, remember that knowledge is power. By understanding these 5 silent signs, you can make a huge difference in providing comfort, dignity, and love during what may be the final chapter of someone's life. Take these insights to heart, stay observant, and never underestimate the impact that small acts of compassion can have when they're needed most. You don't have to live in fear, but you do owe it to yourself and your loved ones to be prepared and present in whatever time remains. Thank you again for joining me, and I look forward to sharing more with you in our next video. Stay supportive, stay compassionate, and cherish every moment you have.